Hi. My gosh, it's been so long since I've been on here. And also, um, my hair is so wackadoo right now. Look at this, it's insane. Oh my gosh. Looks like I have a cute bun, but I don't. So anyway, so I'm on here. Oh my gosh, my hair looks so crazy. Sorry. Sorry, it's like the things you notice when you're like actually online and it's live and then there's nothing you can do about it. So, oh my gosh. All right. It's December, y'all. Already. And where did this year go? I told my husband the other day, it seemed like December, like it took forever for December to get here. Like I feel like I did so many things this year. And then my husband was like, it seemed like it flew by. And I was like, well, I don't know about that. But it was great because I feel like we're at this precipice of 2020. And all my clients are starting their 2020 planning, and some of them have already been doing that. I've been doing that since like June. But let me stabilize you here. Okay. So this 2020 planning thing, I had a client send me an email today. She gave me a list of things that she wants to work on. And I had to share with you guys what I thought of this list. I'm going to pull it up. I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to like read you a few of these. All right. Let me just read a few. So these are some of the topics that she wanted to cover. I'm not calling her out by any means, but I want you to kind of see like how you can relate to this, because it's like everybody. I feel like it's like all my clients are like this. She wanted to talk to me about CRM, mapping out her workflow process, possibly switching her CRM, connecting her documents together, making sure that her clients, when they go from point A to point B, things are calculated and measured and, saved, like phone, email addresses and all this stuff. Tracking emails from new clients and potential clients, and leads, syncing between two different systems. What are some of the metrics I'm going to see? Tracking code installs. Where does a system like IFTTT or Zapier fit into this? What about my landing pages? Where do my blogs go? How does my book reviews fit into this? Back to my CRM, how does it work with Facebook? Facebook Pixel, just that's a thing on here. Things like that. Okay, so now I've named off all these things. And you know what I'm going to tell her tomorrow when I talk to her? It's going to be the simplest advice I've probably ever given anyone. And she's probably going to think I'm crazy. The advice I'm going to give her is, why? That's my advice. Why? What are we doing with all this? I'm not saying it's not important, because I live off of these systems. I've set up my systems so that they're in place and they're done. But I have seen clients go around and around and around with this. And you can't really pick something and stick with it if you don't stick with it. And it doesn't work if you don't stick with it. So tomorrow when I talk to her, I'm going to say, why are we doing all this? Get her a real answer. And get her to realize that just because you have all of this doesn't mean you're going to be successful. The act of going out and getting those clients, the act of marketing yourself, doing live videos in your living room at 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, going to networking meetings, in spite of the cold or the rain or the whatever, doing certain things, going online, answering people's questions in Facebook groups, putting yourself out there versus waiting till you have a system in place. There's no way to measure that. You can't say that it's, you have to wait until you have a system in place before you can do all those things. No, you have to do those things now. You have to and almost, it sounds counterintuitive, but you have to ignore the system. The system will find its place. The system will become a necessity as you begin to work. But you have to have work to do in order for that system to kind of grow and show you what it needs to be. Because when I first started, my system was not the same as it is now. And my system has changed over time because of necessity, because of things need to be simpler. Things need to be more concise, more condensed. But it wasn't because I started out with a condensed, concise way of doing things. I started out with a very complicated way of doing things because I was just getting clients, and it was just like, well, I'll pull from here and I'll pull from there. And then I had to fix it as time went on. And that's not a big deal to do that. It's actually better to do that. So my advice is, if you're stuck like her, like most of my clients end up being, they get overwhelmed with systems, they get overwhelmed with software, they get overwhelmed with integrations and automations and da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, while that's what I do for a living, I have to make sure that my clients know, why? Why are we doing all this? Do we have clients in place where these things are falling through the cracks? If so, then it makes sense to put these items in place and put these automations in place. But if there's nobody coming in the funnels, and we're trying to do this to create a funnel or to create a way for people to come in, systems aren't going to help you get the clients. You are going to help you get the clients. And so by succeed in 2020 in spite of yourself, my whole point is that we would all, myself included, realize that we have to just do things. We have to actually accomplish a task that has nothing to do with the administration of the business, but that has everything to do with the outreach of the business and the arm that reaches out into the community and says, hi, I'm here. Hey, it's me. How can I help you? Those things. We have to do those things in order for all the systems and all the automations and all of that to make sense. So while I teach marketing and while I teach to put these systems in place and how they can really help you, they can't actually do any of that until you're willing to, in spite of yourself, just go out there and actually do the thing that you're trying to do. And I know that sounds so simplistic, and it really, really is. So for example, I'll give you an example of my own issues here, my own life. I took a speaking course at the end of this year, a couple months ago. And let me just say this. It didn't go as I expected, but it was good. And I got some info out of it. I got some advice, and I got, some things kind of worked out. But the thing that I didn't really get was someone to push me out there and say, go and do the speaking thing. I'm already doing the speaking thing, but I'm not getting paid to do it. And so in order for me to get paid, I have to basically say, this is my fee. Will you pay it? And if they say no, I have to decide, do I want to, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to discount it? Am I going to negotiate? Am I going to say no, forget it, never mind? What's that going to be? But in order to get those paid jobs, I'm getting all these free jobs right now. That's what I'm doing right now. I know all these people who want free speakers. So when you actually bring money into it, they're like, oh no, we can't have that. We don't pay anybody, blah, blah, blah. So it just kind of makes me think in my mind, well, then why am I even bothering? And so I just don't. But in the last 2 months, I've kind of pushed myself, in spite of myself, when someone asks me to speak, instead of saying, sure, what's the date, what's the time, I'll be there, I say, my normal speaking fee is, and I'm actually just going out there with my main objective. But I'm not working on systems to handle all the clients that deal with that objective until I have a client that I can prove that system on. So it's very difficult, even for myself, to push yourself out there to make the inroads where there are no inroads, to find the clients with no systems. And by systems, I mean more of like these internal funnel type systems, or even internal systems for like invoicing and CRM and those kind of things. But you can start with marketing systems, which can help you to kind of multiply yourself across different platforms and really to break yourself up into multiple things. So you could be 4 places at once if you use a marketing system rather than just a system. So a lot of people try and use a CRM. Most people don't even need a CRM. They think they do. It's this big buzzword that we have in the industry that we have to use a CRM, and we don't. It's actually almost impossible for most people to use a CRM. And I'll tell you why. If I asked you right now, who was that client that you had? She's blonde and her husband is the pilot, and what was their dog's name? I think they have 2 kids. Do they have 2 kids or 1 kid? You would be able, if that was your client, you would be able to randomly recall as much information as you need. By the way, it's 8 o'clock. My clock's going to go crazy in a second here. See, there it goes. But my point is with the CRM, you would be able to recall as much information as you need. You don't need the CRM for that. You're going to recall it from your brain because you've met that client, you've worked with that client. And as far as prospects go, honestly, I don't want to see the number of sales I don't close. I don't want to see a ticker of all the sales I've lost. It's numerous. I don't want to see the amount of money that I've won versus what I've lost. Do you know what that does? That creates stress in your life, let me tell you, because I've used those systems, and they create stress. And then you wonder, why aren't these 5 people moving? Why are they still in this prospect stage? Why can't I get the handle on this? Why can't I sell them? Why can't I move them out of this funnel? It creates stress in your life. I know because I've done it. The other thing it does is it puts pressure on the clients because you're constantly looking at those 5 people and you're like, oh my gosh, I see this person hasn't done this and this person hasn't done this and I haven't talked to that person about this and then it's like 8 o'clock on a Monday night and you're like, hi so-and-so, did you still want to work with me? Are you sure? Okay. And then I've lost column and drag it to the lost column. Like that's insane. Like seriously, I've done that before. But my point with that is, why do we need that when we lose a sale, when we don't sell someone, it doesn't mean that we've lost, and they call it a loss, like a lost sale in these like CRM systems. We don't need that. We don't need a system telling us that we have lost 10 sales and we've only made 5. Or we've lost 18 sales and we've only made 22. That's a horrible ratio. I don't want to see that every day. When I lose a sale, I want to say, then that wasn't the right person for me to work with, and I want to move on. It might be a little disappointing at the time. It might be something that I was really working hard on, really working towards. But that's just extra stress that we don't need. So if you're thinking about using some systems, I'm going to recommend 5 things to you that you can do in 2020. Actually, you can do now before 2020 or in January at least, that is going to give you more bang for your buck, more awesomeness for your business, and start actually bringing new clients. But not because it's the only 5 things you need to do. It's going to bring you clients because you're going to marry these 5 things with the stuff that you need to do physically on a regular basis. All right, so I'm going to tell you what they are. The first one is going to be fix your brand. So your brand, I'm going to say, put this in the comments. Your brand is very important. Your message is very important. And kind of like what we do for ourselves for like our word of the year for 2020 or something like that. A lot of people do that. I want you to take and do that for your brand. Maybe not a word of the year, but maybe like a phrase, a new vision, a goal for the year, and have that be like the mission of your company. And then everything you do for the entire year should be based around that. Okay? So that's the first thing you're going to do. All right? Second thing you're going to do is you're going to fix that website. So your website probably is not what it should be. It's not where it should be, girl. You should totally look at that again. And you should also look at maybe some of your non-existent landing pages. Most people don't have them. I have one. I'm doing pretty well for myself having one, but most people don't have them, and it can get you so much more business than you realize to have a good, solid landing page, sales page, whatever you want to call it. So if you can look at your site and start to come up with one or two, just one or two, don't go crazy, landing pages that are going to help you to really present a very specific product in a very specific piece of your business that you want to grow in 2020. The next thing, social media. All right. Social media, it's a batch, girl. You have to do it. You have to be good at it. And I would just recommend batching it. So that's what I do with my clients is we batch social media, and it's so much fun, and it gets it all done, and then you don't have to touch it for the whole year. So consider that for your 2020 planning. The next thing is your blog. So your blog should be very consistent. That's the only thing it should be, is consistent. It can be short. It can be all book reviews. It can be product testing. It can be your favorite product of the month and your favorite book review of the month. Like, I don't even care what your content is. It could be anything you want it to be. It should only take you about 10 to 15 minutes to write each blog, and you should have one every month at a minimum. They do not need to be research papers. They do not need to have citations. These need to be very clean, very simple, good information about your industry, about what you're doing. I've even had people come up with the top 10 questions of their business, throw in 2 of their own that people should know, but they don't. And those are their 12 blogs for the year. That's it. Stuff you already know. You already know all this. You don't have to come up with all this crazy content. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Your blog. And the final thing that you need to have for your 2020 planning, for your marketing, is, are you ready? I don't know if you're ready. Okay, I'm gonna put it in. Email marketing. So email marketing is something that most people skip. Then the other most of the people do it too much, and then no one wants to have anything to do with it. So the people that skip it don't have anything to do with it because they're just like, oh, I can't even think about that right now. The people that do it too much send like an email a day, like around Black Friday, which, okay, if you're like Target, I get, like, that's your whole deal. That's what you're doing. But are we Target? Are you Target? Am I Target? No, we're not this way. This is not who we are. And sending so many emails, like I sent 3. So I sent one about a week before Black Friday, or somewhere 5 days before Black Friday, one a day or 2 before Black Friday, one on Black Friday, and then one, and that was it, like on Black Friday to say, hey, this sale is ending. So that was 4 emails in the span of a week. I got from one local company an email a day, but their promotion went from the beginning of the week last week, I believe, until today, which is Cyber Monday. And I got an email every single day. And it wasn't like, your typical like sales, like picture email. It was an email that just said, like, it looked like it was an email from the person. So it made it a little more effective that way. But once I realized, who it was from and what they were asking, what they were saying, and how it was the same thing I just gotten and the same thing I just deleted, I was like more annoyed. So when I work with my clients and I teach them how to do email marketing in a day, this is the part that we have to walk this fine line between too much and not enough. And that's where you can get into trouble, but you can also have a lot of success, but you have to find that line. And it has to be the line for you. It can't be the line just for everybody. It can be the line for your industry, be the line for you personally, the line for your business. But there is this dividing line between too much and not enough at all. So those are the 5 things you need to be including in your 2020 planning. The additional pieces, those are like the online, the, non-monetary in a way, ethereal type of things. They don't really have anything to do with you physically doing too much. I mean, it's all online stuff, right? So you can do it from home. The things that you have to add to this are networking. You have to network. This stuff, all this online stuff, does not matter if you don't network. I swear to you, this is honest how it works. You have to add Facebook group participation. You have to answer questions in groups. Don't just stalk groups. You have to be active. You have to be out there helping. If you're not out there helping, no one's going to know who you are. Why do they care? And don't be out there helping by like posting sales video on every group you're in every Monday when they have sales day. Like, that's not helping. I'm talking about real help. When someone asks a question and you know the answer, even if you don't want to answer it, please answer it. Even if 50 other people have answered it, you have to answer it. Because it's just going to give you that credibility. It's going to hone your skills. And when someone in that group decides they want to hire you, and the first thing they do is go to that group and search for your name in the search box, all the answers you gave are going to come up. All of them. And that's when they see, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. They've given so much advice, and it's all been free. This is the kind of person I want to work with. It really, really is very helpful and very credible. The other thing is, you have to make sure that you are looking for these opportunities. So you have to seek opportunities. You can't just sit on your bum all day in front of your computer and hope that your clients are going to come to you magically. Not all of us work that way. Most people aren't going to have that opportunity. Some of your clients might come to you that way. Some of my clients come to me that way, but it's very few and far between. The other thing you can add to this is client retention. How many of you have talked to your current clients? Upselling your current clients, asking for referrals. Those are physical things that you have to do on a regular basis. You need to put this in your calendar, girl. Like, have it so that you can go back to this and keep doing this on a regular basis every 3 months. Talking to these people. Every month, talking to these people. It's time consuming, but what you're going to get out of those relationships that you're continuing to build and continuing to help grow are going to be way, way more than you could ever ask for. Because let's say you're a photographer and you're like, well, once I take someone's photo, why would I call them back and talk to them? Like, we're done, right? I mean, I've done their wedding pictures. I've done their baby pictures. What else am I going to do for them? It doesn't matter if you can do anything for them, but when their sister gets pregnant and she wants a maternity shoot, or their brother's getting married, or their family's in town for some random holiday that you've never heard of, or that you weren't even paying attention, like everyone's in town for 4th of July, we want a family photo. Like, I don't know, whatever. You can go back to those people, and if you're in touch with them on a regular basis, first person they're going to think of is you. First person. Or if someone says, hey, do you know, of course I do, perfect person, this is her name, this is his name. So you have to even add client retention to part of your marketing, because those are the people that have already bought in. Those are the people that you've already sold. They've paid you money. They like you in most cases. And don't worry about the ones that were disgruntled. There's always going to be those few clients that you get. They're disgruntled. When you go back to your client retention, you're looking at your client list, and you're like, dang, I really don't want to talk to that person. And guess what? You don't have to. don't worry about those people. They will sort themselves out. They might come back to you, they might not. But then there's those clients that love you. And maybe they just wanted to talk to you, one time and that was it. And that's fine. And you had, one session with them or one encounter with them where they paid you to do something. Now it's time to go back to them and say, can I help you? I've had clients where I've reached out to them and said, hey, come to this free thing that I'm doing. It's going to be awesome. I just wanted to reach out to you and give you this invitation. It's just for clients. And I had one client say to me, oh, I already did all that. I don't need that. What she wasn't getting is that and I told her this, I'm bringing all of my clients into one room so they can meet each other, so they can refer to each other. I'm trying to build value. It doesn't matter if you've already done this session before or you already know about that. There's so much more value in that room than just the session. So when you talk to your clients, you're bringing them so much more value by reaching out to them, because maybe you can connect them with somebody that they don't have. Maybe you've done their pictures and they're like, you know what? Your pictures are great, but man, I really want to put them on my website, but I can't figure out how to do it. I have a website person I can refer you to. Well, maybe my pictures are great, but I really wanted to get them framed really nice for my parents for Christmas, but I didn't just want to go, to the hardware or the art store and, get it done. It was too expensive. You know what? I actually know a framer. I know an artist. I bet she'd know a framer. Like those types of connections, even if you don't give the person anything monetarily, if they don't give you anything monetarily, it doesn't matter. You're giving them something that's almost priceless. You're helping them later on. You're giving them something that they would not have had if they didn't know you. And that keeps you top of mind. Wow, she referred us that great such and such. She told us about this awesome place we should go and have dinner. Oh, she told us about, it doesn't matter what it is. It can be something so silly like going to dinner. But those kinds of things build that relationship. And that part of client retention, I think, is so lost right now. And I really feel like people need to hone back in on that, to really remember that they have fans. Like you have fans, I have fans, you have fans. And we have to remember that those people are special. And I feel like sometimes and I do this a lot, I'll work with someone, it'll be so exciting, I'll be so into what they're doing. And then when the session's over and we part ways, it's not that I forget about them, but we just don't talk, it just kind of drift apart. They do their thing, I do my thing, I get busy with someone else, and they get busy with all their clients. And then when they really need something, or when there's dire circumstances, or, maybe they never talk to me again. And that's kind of my fault for letting that happen and letting that relationship drift apart. So client retention is huge. It's huge. And it can also bring such great rewards because you've already built these relationships. You've already started this campaign. You don't have to start over. You've got this like built-in person who already likes you default. And you know what it's like when you're working with a prospect and it's new and exciting. It's a different person and you're excited to work with them and sell them in a way. But at the same time, gosh, it's a lot of work. We got to start all over. We got to build the rapport. We got to build a relationship. We've got to find out what their dog's name is, like all that stuff. And then you got to have multiple conversations in order to make all that stick. So I'm going to go back through this. I'm just going to do a little recap, and then I'm going to hop off of here. So here we go. Recap. 5 things you need in your 2020 planning. Your brand. Fix it. Make sure you've got that solid mission for 2020. Landing pages. Fix them. Add them. Make them something. Social media, batch it. I think my computer is going to die. Email, your blog, write them, just write them. Email marketing, it will save your fanny so much time if you actually just do it first and don't do it too much. Networking, please do it. Just go out and do the networking. Participate in Facebook groups. Write your answers to questions. Even if 50 people have answered already, do it. Seek the opportunities. You have to go out and find them. They don't just fall in your lap. And then work on your client retention. is your greatest asset, and most of us aren't even using it. That is all I have for you tonight. I hope it was amazing. I hope you can draw something from it. Any of you who are my clients, you're actually invited to my Absolute Circle meeting on December 10th. If you haven't gotten an invite yet, I will put the link in the comments, and you can apply if you are a client or former client. And if you decide to become a client or even sign up for a ticket and you buy a ticket for my upcoming conference next year, you will actually be considered a client, and you will be able to join the circle, and you don't even have to be a real client. You can just be kind of a client. So yes, if you buy a ticket, you get invited to all the Absolute Circles leading up to the conference. So 6 months of free coaching. I think I would take that. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and let me know if these tips have helped you and how you're going to implement them. Please reply in the comments. Bye.